I've spent more time fiddling with the lights to get this basement lighting situation to work out than it will take to film this video, so we're going with it. I seem to be glowing in the dark, but that's okay. Hi and welcome to the FreeFormKnits YouTube channel. I'm Haxann Evers, a knit and crochet with freeform ways of crafting of love to the world to design. All the places you can find me will be listed down below this video. Thank you so much for stopping by and crafting with me today. So if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. And if you're new to my channel, a little about me, I am a knitting and crochet designer, and on my channel I share my current projects on my podcast, and I have a bunch of tutorials out to help you learn some new and fun stitch patterns. So if you are new, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It means so much to me. In this video, I'm going to be talking about my Scrappy project. So I have my Scrappy project in this bag. I am making the Coziest memory blanket by Kemper Ray. And by making, I mean that I took the numbers from the pattern and just started making a fingering weight Scrappy memory blanket. I have it in this little bag, this crochet tote that I made out of some worsted weight chunky yarn. I don't even remember, but I just made it into this basket and it has everything in here. So for a long time I held off on making a fingering weight anything because I have a hard time obtaining fingering weight yarn, and so whenever I got fingering weight yarn I would just automatically knit it up into socks, but I've been knitting for over 10 years now, so I've collected quite a bit of fingering weight scraps, even though I don't get a lot of fingering weight yarn. All the yarn behind me, it seems like I'm being contradictory, but no, most of this yarn is the heavier weights, DK, worsted. My little bit of fingering weight stash is here. And I just have a lot of scraps, so now I'm making it into a fingering weight blanket, which I love the process, but I'm kind of regretting it because it's taking a while. But about the project, so like I said, I followed the numbers for the Coziest memory blanket by Kemper Ray. It's free on Ravelry. I'll have that listed below the video. And here is my blanket, or my start of my blanket. This was a good time to make the video because it is perfectly squared off. So here it is. So if you don't know about the Cozy Memories blanket, it's all these squares. They look like mitered squares, but they're actually not. They are just made, they're knit on the bias, I think that's the right term, knit at an angle. You like start here at the widest point and then you decrease down with your scraps. And you get these fun squares with this diagonal line going through the center. And I'm having mine go all in the same direction. And this is my blanket so far. So I do have the stitch marker here. I have a stitch I need to fix here. Apparently I split it, so it's just hanging out there. I'll get to it. And then the back is actually not terribly messy. I've woven in a lot of the ends. A lot of ends are hanging out. And that's just because I started my blanket here. This was my first square, and then I'm knitting all the squares like this. I'm going up then over, or yes, I'm going up then over, so that they all the lines go in the right direction. They're all facing the right direction. I thought I wouldn't mind having them in different directions, but I have made variations of this pattern in the past, and I did have them going different directions, and I realized I kind of like the symmetry of it all the lines going in the same direction. So I started here, and then I just go like this in the pattern. I just work all the squares like this, and doing that makes it so that when I will weave in these ends when I've done the next repeat of squares, if that makes sense. So that way my ends are nice and tight and my corners are nice and neat. You construct the blanket by casting on and then picking up, a combination of casting on and picking up, so that it's immediately knitted onto the blanket. There's no seaming, so it's really fun pattern. I kind of have to be in the mood to work on it, but I have decided that I will, by the end of this year, have 56 squares, one for each week of the year. I haven't been doing it 1 square a week throughout the year, but I've decided that I will have 56 squares at the end of the year for this blanket. I've figured out I have to do approximately 2 squares a week to reach that goal, but I think it's achievable. And yeah, I don't remember when I casted this on. I know it wasn't last year, so it must have been back in 2019, but if I did, I probably didn't work on it a lot. I may have likely only done 4 squares in 2019 and then just picked at it throughout the last 2 years. But I have decided that I will, if I complete 56 squares this year, I will complete another 56 squares next year, and then it will be done. I've decided that. I haven't done the math to figure out how big a blanket that would be, but it's not going over that. You know, 56 plus 56 squares, that's as big as it's going, because that's all I can handle. So there's a lot of fingering weight scraps, a lot of knit picks in here. These are all Felici colorways, the silk striping, and then a lot of stroll. This is a stroll, knit pick stroll, all these pretty colors. And then some of the solids are yarn bee minis, and they're either minis or some of the DK skeins. What are they called? Soft and sleek DK, but they're actually more of a fingering weight. And I've just popped some of those in there. So that's the square. This is the square. This is the blanket so far. I am knitting my blanket on US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter needle. I don't ever use straight needles. I flick my yarn when I knit, but these needles are fairly short. I can handle having them, and they're so pretty and they're very slick. I think they're Knitter's Pride. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the brand is Knitter's Pride. I'm not sure what type of needle it's supposed to be, if they have like a special name, but this is what they look like. And they're really nice. I'm really surprised how much I like them. But this is what I use exclusively for this blanket. I bought these needles for this blanket because originally I was using my only other 3.75 needles were our long circular needle, and that was just too fiddly with these squares. So yep, that's the needles and the blanket so far. And then how I have my scraps organized in this little mess here, I have 2 bags in here. One bag are scraps I haven't used yet, and the other are scraps I have used yet. And I already plan I will most definitely be recycling back through these scraps when I've finished this bag. So the scraps I've used already, each square does not take a lot of yarn. I think at most it probably takes 5 grams on an average yardage of fingering weight yarn. That's like my guess, but I'm horrible at guessing grams and yardage, so you know, I'm gonna say at most 5 grams, but I could be wrong, so I'm sure that information was helpful. But here are all my scraps I've already used. I still have a lot of yarn in here, so I will definitely be recycling back through all these scraps for more squares in the blanket. It's just hanging out in this little drawstring bag. I made this drawstring bag years ago now. It's got this little pocket in front that's supposed to have my yarn needle in it and my stitch marker for the blanket, but they're gone. So I'm not sure what happened there. Oh well. And then here's the bag that has the yarns I haven't used yet, and I'm actually going to go through these. Oh, here's my yarn needle. I'm actually going to go through these and pick out the 2 colors I'm going to use for this week. So, and I actually think some of these yarns I won't be using in the blanket. Like I have some Patons Croy in here. That's too small for anything else. Like this is too small for like a heel or a toe or a cuff and a sock. But Patons Croy yarn is a bit thicker, and I'm not sure if I want that difference in texture in my blanket. Like here's another Patons Croy, and then these are Yarn Bee. I think this is Yarn Bee Cozy Toe. Or maybe it's Premier Yarns. This one's Premier Yarns. But it's like this, it says it's a sock weight, but it's really not good for socks because it wears through so quickly. It doesn't have enough nylon or wool content to make it strong, so I probably won't put this in the blanket because it's a very different texture to like I'm using mostly 75-25 blends of merino wool and nylon and a little bit of acrylic, but still the nylon, so it's got a different feel, the entire blanket. So these I'll probably most definitely take out. I'm going to take them out now so I don't forget. I don't have a lot in here left. Like, yeah, I don't want them to all fall out. They probably will because that's just how things are going. I don't have a lot in here. And oh, why do I still have this in here? This is a bit of lace yarn. I'm not sure why it's in here, how it got in here. It's just this little nub of lace yarn. Don't know why it's in here. It's not a soft yarn. You think I would have picked up on that? And there's cotton in here. What is my organization skills are off the charts. So I think my next colors in the blanket are going to be these two Felici colors. I'm pretty sure this was a the fall palette for Felici. Autumn cabin, a rustic cabin. That was it. This is my leftovers from that, but I'm pretty sure I already used that. Did I put it back in here because it looks so different? Oh, this isn't. This is. I don't know why I pretend I know the names of things if I actually don't. I think this is rustic cabin, but I thought I already used it in the blanket, so I'm confused why I would have put it back in the wrong bag. Yeah, this was rustic cabin. This brown square here. This is the rest of the color repeat. It must be rest of the color repeat. That orange is the same. So I'm not sure why I put it in the wrong bag. Like I said, organization skills off the charts. But I'll probably use these because there are different parts in the striping sequence, so it'll look like it's a different color. It doesn't matter. It's a scrappy blanket. That's the whole point of it. It's a scrappy blanket. So I don't know why I'm pretending that I planned carefully. I have not planned at all. I've tried to, but we saw how that turned out. All the 12 stripings all clumped together because I just wanted to use the colors. Oh well. It's super pretty. And it's a great weight of blanket. If I make blankets, I make them worsted weight because I want them to work up quickly, or I'll hold DK weight double, or I'll hold worsted double, and they'll be lap blankets, they won't be Afghans. I have yet to make a proper Afghan. So I don't use fingering weight yarn in anything except socks really, because I get it so rarely, so I just immediately go sock happy. But this is a really nice weight. It's a nice weight of blanket. It's going to be so great. If I can have the patience to stick with it long enough to make it really big, it'll be such a nice blanket. So yeah, really happy about that. So that's all I have to say about my cozy memory blanket. If you are working on a cozy memory blanket or any sort of scrappy project, I would love to hear about it in the comments. And that's all I have to say in this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. Like I said, if you are working on any scrappy projects, I would love to hear about them, especially worsted weight. You can't see it, but up on this shelf, I have 2 containers, one of worsted, one of DK, and another worsted container. A whole basket here. You can barely see it. It's out of frame. I want to do a scrappy project, but I'm not sure, so I would love to hear any ideas you have, anything you're working on. I'd love to hear it in the comments below. And if you could take a moment to like and subscribe to my channel, I would love that so much. It helps get my video out there and more people can come and craft. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for stopping by, and happy crafting!